Today we're going to talk about solving multi-step equations. Solving multi-step equations. So these are the materials you're going to need. Your Spiral Notebook, yellow, orange, and red crayon, and a calculator. So if you need those materials, just pause the video and go ahead and grab them. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and move on. Okay, great. The only vocabulary you need to, again, remember is the inverse means opposite. I'm going to be using that word often. Inverse, you're doing the opposite of the operation. Opposite of adding is multiplying, and vice versa. Opposite of multiplying is dividing. Okay? All right, for this first slide, I really want you to make sure you're remembering all your like terms. Remember, like terms are different types of parts of the problem that are going to be the same style, or they're going to look the same. Here you have a bunch of terms, and I do want you to jot them down, and then I want you to match them up. What would be a like term that goes along with 5n, etc., etc.? Go ahead and pause the video, copy those examples, those numbers and terms down, and then match them up. What would go together? All right. What you should have is 5n matches up with 1/5 n. This has an n, this has an n. 5 nuts and 1/5 nuts, they both go together. Negative 6y goes to 22y. They both have a y. Just a y all by itself, just a plain y goes with just a plain y. Here 5 goes with 3. These are constants. These are like terms also. This is just a plain number, and it matches up with just a plain number. And this goes with this. Notice this has an x and a y, and this has an x and a y. These two would not be like terms because this does not have an x. If this has 3 variables, the like term will also have 3 variables. You could also write this yx. It does not matter which order the variables are in, as long as it has the right number of variables. Also notice the number in front, it's called a coefficient. That number in front doesn't have to be the same. It's just the letter that we're looking for. This one doesn't have a letter, so that matches up with doesn't have a letter. Make sure you look for the letters, whether or not they have one or don't. If they have more than one, then you're looking for more than one variable as its partner. All right, take a look at this example here. This is what we call a multi-step equation because you've got to do several things in order to solve it. Up till now, we've solved two-step equations where you have 7n minus 1 equals 14, but now we have an extra n in there. We've got a 7n and a 2n. Now, before we even start, what I want you to notice is that on this example here, the first thing you want to do is you want to put together your like terms. Well, sometimes that can be a little tricky because you don't know when you move the numbers together what goes with it. So I want you to remember that the symbol in front of the number goes with it. So I'm going to just underline here. This 2n goes with that subtraction. This is subtract 1. Now some people like to do keep, change and make it plus a negative 1. You can do that as well. This 7n, what symbol's in front of that 7n? Do you know? Right, it's a positive. That would be a positive 7n. Remember, the symbol in front goes with the number. So now notice how I have rearranged my math problem so my n's are next to each other. That's just a way that helps me when I'm simplifying problems, when I'm putting together like terms. If I move my problem around a little bit so my like terms are next to each other, it makes it a lot easier for me to see. So I've got my 7n, and I moved my minus 2n to go along with it. Notice all that did was take the minus 1 and slide it over just a little bit. Once I have my like terms next to each other, now I'm going to go ahead and put them together. If I have 7 nuts and I take away 2 nuts, I end up with 5 nuts. 7n minus 2n equals 5n. Pay attention to those like terms. Step 2 is to do the inverse of any adding and subtracting. The opposite of minus 1 is plus 1. And then do inverse of all of multiplying and dividing. The opposite of timesing by 5 is dividing by 5. Make sure you check your answer back in the original problem to make sure it works. If I take out all these n's and put in 3's in those spots, I get 7 times 3, which of course is 21, 2 times 3, which is 6, and now I can just subtract out. 21 minus 1 is 20, and 20 minus 6 is indeed 14, so that works out great. Make sure you have the steps written down. Again, the first thing you're going to do is put together your like terms, and then you're going to solve the two-step equation from there. It's your turn. Go ahead and jot down this example, and I've even given you the steps off to the side as just a reminder. Go ahead and jot down this example and try it on your own, and then come on back and we'll do it together. Okay, let's see. First I'm going to put together my like terms. I'm going to put this and this together. I'm going to rewrite my problem so that my b's are next to each other. Did you see how I changed my minus 3 to be plus a negative 3? You know that's the same thing, isn't it? If you'd like, I can erase that, and I can put this back again. Means exactly the same thing. So I have a negative 2b, and I'm minusing 3 more. Please remember your integers, negative 2 minus 3. That ends up with negative 5b. Now I'm going to do my inverse of adding and subtracting. My inverse of multiplying and dividing. B equals positive 1. So let's just check that out and make sure it makes sense. Here's my check. I'm going to take out all my b's and put in 1 here. And I'm going to see if it equals 2. All right, this would be negative 2, and this would be 3. So let's work it out. Negative 2 plus 7, that's 5. 5 minus 3, does that equal 2? It sure does. So that works out great. B does equal 1. All right, here's yet a different type of example. It's still a multi-step problem. We've got a fraction involved. Here in black is what we're starting with. We've got 4x minus 8 over 9. Remember that fraction bar just means division. Don't get freaked out about that fraction. It just is a division symbol. So the first thing you're going to do is get rid of that fraction. We don't like fractions. They're hard to work with, so let's try to get rid of them as soon as possible. What's the opposite of dividing by 9? Timesing by 9, right. Times by 9 on both sides of the equal sign. And what do you have left? 4x minus 8 is 108. And then from there you're going to solve in that two-step format. Do all the adding and subtracting, and then all the multiplying and dividing. You end up with 29. Here I've checked my answer so I can see if it really works. Take out the x and put in the 29. 4 times 29 minus 8, and then divide by 9. It does equal 12. So here are the steps. Make sure you write them down. Make sure you get rid of those fractions first, and then go through and solve with like terms, inverse, and inverse again. Notice in this particular problem, there were no like terms. Sometimes you won't have any, but I don't want you to forget where it goes in the order of things. All right, your turn. Go ahead and jot this down and try it on your own and see how you do. I did write the steps off to the side to help you. Go ahead and pause the video and see how you did. Great. All right, let's work it out. Step number 1, you should be first getting rid of that fraction. So that means timesing by 6 on both sides. And now we're going to do any like terms. I don't have any like terms to smush together here. So now I'm going to go for my inverses. Inverse of adding and subtracting. Inverse of multiplying and dividing. N equals 8. All right, let's check our answer and see how that works. 4 times 8 minus 2, divide by 6. The question is, does it equal 5? Well, let's see. 4 times 8 is 32. 32 minus 2 is, of course, 30. Is 30 divided by 6 5? It sure is. So yes, N does indeed equal 8. As you look over the two examples that you did on your own, check to see if you understood them. If you didn't get them on your own, go ahead and rewind the video and try it again. If you did get it, great. Final step, don't forget to color code your notes. You want to put in yellow even though you got the answer of 8 and you got the answer for the other one. Put yellow if you were kind of shaky, you weren't really sure, you tried it, but wasn't quite right for you. Orange, if you were solid, you got the 8, no problem, and you knew exactly what to do. Or red, you were on fire, you already knew what to do before I even gave you the steps. Color code your notes, and I'll see you in class for some extra practice. See you soon.